Going away, is it Prince Andrew still making headlines this morning, with the Queen and Prince Charles reportedly holding an emergency meeting to discuss his future? It's now 3 days since a US attorney said that Prince Andrew had snubbed the FBI's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Zero cooperation, but confusion reigns, with sources close to the Prince saying that, well, he hasn't been approached. Joining me now from Los Angeles is US lawyer Lisa Bloom, who's representing 5 of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. We appreciate it. Your understanding of the situation, because it's kind of like, you know, one camp is saying one thing and another saying something, and they're not meeting in the middle. What's your reading of what's going on here?
Well, I'm sure that the U.S. prosecutor reached out in writing. There have to be emails or some kind of confirmation, so let's see the receipts. But also, let's just get past all of this. Prince Andrew has said that he would cooperate. It's time for him to do that. It's time for his representatives to pick up the phone, to call the FBI and say he's ready to sit down and answer their questions.
Well, you're absolutely right. Let's remind ourselves of exactly what he said during that car crash of an interview. Yeah. He said he's duty-bound, and if push comes to shove, do you think that we're at that situation now?
Push has come to shove. I represent 5 women who say that they were sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein, who we know was a friend of Prince Andrew. We are trying to get to the bottom of this so that they can start healing and get some accountability and justice and move on with their lives. Now is the time for Prince Andrew to cooperate.
How important do you think his testimony is going to be to your case and indeed the cases of other alleged victims?
Well, I think it's important in my case because he was close with Jeffrey Epstein. He spent a considerable amount of time with him. I think it's impossible that he did not know what was going on. And it's even more important in Virginia Roberts' case because she alleges that Prince Andrew sexually assaulted her. If he is innocent, as he says, there's no reason why he would not want to go and talk and exonerate himself. But it's not just about him. It's about the other accused enablers, other high-profile people who are also accused. Now is the time that everybody is being investigated, and that's why he needs to speak.
How hopeful, though, are you that this will actually happen? I mean, do you think that it is inevitable and they actually might have to answer questions in the United States?
I do think he's going to have to answer questions. He can only run for so long. He can only hide behind his attorneys for so long and say, well, we didn't get the call, or, you know, these technicalities. I think the public in both countries really wants him to answer questions and to get to the bottom of this. Nobody is in favor of pedophilia. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was a very prolific pedophile. And we need to get some justice here. So I think it's inevitable he's going to have to answer the questions.
If you could talk to him direct, and of course he's kind of going to ground a bit, what would you say to him? What would your advice be to Prince Andrew?
Prince Andrew, my clients are suffering. They have been suffering for many years. They need justice. They need accountability. The only way we get that is when witnesses come forward. I represent a woman who says she saw you in the Tramp nightclub with Virginia Roberts in 2001. You say you weren't there. I say let's have both sides talk to the authorities and let's let them get to the bottom of what really happened.
That's very powerful. Lisa Bloom, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Our royal editor, Russell Myers, is here with us. Very strong words there.
Very, very powerful.
Indeed. And no official line, really, from Buckingham Palace, because, of course, he's not really part of the firm anymore, is he?
No. Well, another one who's stepped back from royal duties.
Yeah.
And certainly this has been a change of tack by the palace. They were certainly willing over the past year or so to reiterate a statement that had been put out. I mean, we must stress that Andrew has claimed that he didn't witness any suspicious behaviour during the visits to Epstein's apartments in New York. He's denied any sexual contact. However, the fact that Buckingham Palace is saying that they are referring it now to his legal team is a certain change of tack. So I think that silence speaks volumes at the moment.
It really does. And what about this meeting between the Queen and Prince Charles to discuss Prince Andrew again?
Well, this is another crisis meeting. This is Charles and the Queen meeting up this week to discuss how they will move forward. Certainly, the pressure is now coming on top for Andrew. As, you know, Lisa saying there very, very powerful words that he needs to come forward. He needs to speak to the FBI. It's not enough to suggest, I mean, he said it publicly at least twice, that he is prepared to speak to the FBI, the law enforcement agencies in the United States, and yet his silence is deafening at this point.
It's kind of like the heat. We did say this at the time, that the heat was off because of the situation between Harry and Meghan. Now, that is a blip. This is huge.
This is massive.
With Prince Andrew. This is massive, and it's not going anywhere.
No, it isn't, and certainly you know, he made a range of excuses for his relationship, you know, saying, and I think he was widely criticised, and rightly so, that he didn't necessarily apologise for having a relationship with him. Now, the understanding that I have is that he's in talks with his legal team about how he will represent himself if the FBI do come for him again. They want to speak to him, but certainly there's people in the legal world saying that they wouldn't allow him to go to America because, as we've seen in his car crash interview, he may talk himself into all manner of difficulties.
That's very true. He did not conduct himself well on that interview, and you can imagine, you know, forensic skilled investigators from the FBI, what would happen there. On another note, there's been a lot of rumours about his daughter Beatrice's wedding and whether or not that's going to get postponed and what sort of impact all of this is going to have, well, on all of their lives, really, and all of his
I mean, again, happier times for that family, potentially. However, I mean, Andrew has told Beatrice this will not, you know, this saga at the moment will not interfere with your wedding. However, is this a promise that he will not be able to keep? This is the issue here at the moment. The very fact that the FBI, and certainly you've got US attorneys standing on the steps of Jeffrey Epstein's house in New York, where some of this alleged activity took place, calling him out does not look good, and I can think that the pressure will only increase from here on in.
He can't keep quiet.
He can't at all. Well, he's already said that he will put himself forward to speak to the relevant authorities. Now, when you've got attorneys saying that they want to speak to him, now is the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russell. As I said, it's not going to go away. I'm sure we'll be talking about this in the days and weeks to come. Thank you very much.